Welcome to the first ever digital deck profile. Here's a deck that I have wanted to create for a while now, but I was never able to get around to it because of the 3-2 early drop Aquas. It's literally the only card that I could not get. But while I was working on this deck, we actually had some new support come out with the introduction of the Konosuba movie set, Legend of Crimson. So I threw a good majority of those cards into this deck. Lastly, this is not an Axis Cult deck. I do eventually want to build that deck, probably physically, because it does seem like it's right up my alley. That deck is a deck for a different time though. So this is going to work like my typical deck profiles. I'm going to show off the cards one by one, explain what they do, and eventually show off all the cards in the level. You know, simple stuff. So currently, as of recording this, if the cards are available in English, I'm going to show the scans of them in English. Otherwise, they're just going to be in Japanese. Shout out to JKTCG, the hardest working dudes in the scene. Super quick, I do have this deck created on EncoreDecks, so you could go ahead and check out the full list there. I'll put a link in the description below. And without further ado, let's go to audio only and get this deck profile started with the level 0s. Significance of killing snow sprites is on play from hand. You could clock a card from your hand and you could search your deck for a goddess character, which this whole deck is filled with. I do run 4 because even though we're not playing the Eris early drops, this card is still a fantastic search. Super easy to use and pretty cheap as well. This can't really help you if you need that extra push to go to the next level. Plus, 2k5 is pretty decent, especially for a searcher. Full of Smiles is on play. You give a character 1k5 and it can target itself. This is at 3 because my level 1 combo is actually not an on reverse combo, but this is almost a beatdown deck, so the extra power is welcome. Plus, she could target herself if she needs to. The only support, Aqua, and yes, I do have 4 of these signs. Isn't my pull rate just like amazing? These are all pulled from the same booster box. I don't have any footage, but I swear. She is a pay 1 tap self-searching brainstorm, and when you trigger a climax, you give a character 1k. It's pretty self-explanatory. She is the searcher of the deck, plus she does get power. And when you trigger a climax in this deck, you're not too concerned because you are running 2 plussing climaxes. Again, this is like a beatdown deck, so that extra power is damn good. Acting like a goddess once in a while gives 500 forward, and she is a pop encore. This is at 3 more power, and it's a great way to maintain board presence. Great idea. Aqua is also at 3. She's a level 0 bomb, where the character is sent to the bottom of the deck, and her alarm effect is at the start of your climax phase. You can give one of your characters the following effect. When it reverses an opponent in battle, send that card to the bottom of the deck. So if you have this card, you clock it, and again, you are giving a lot of power to a lot of different cards, so most likely you will be reversing something. Plus, that 1 extra potential damage you are giving your opponent is pretty damn nice. It's gonna come up eventually. And here we are, level 1. We already established that we are giving power through our level 0s to our level 1s. We're going to start off slow and head towards our climax combo. Sacred Create Water is a staple at 4 without a doubt. When it is sent to the waiting room from the stage, you can top check 3, add a character, ditch the rest, and you ditch a card. It's super good, it helps dig, grabs combo pieces, and even extenders. Great card, and at 5k power, it's not that bad either. So this card is thrown in because if you're running behind on stock, it can help you out. Provoking Style Aqua is at 3, and if you have 3 or less stock, when this reverses an opponent in battle, blind stock. Again, you do have power being thrown around everywhere, so there is a good chance that you're going to be reversing some stuff. Most of the time, you're not going to be activating its effect, but when you do, you will think it. Thank you, Aqua. Now on for our climax combo. Steep Life of an Adventurer is on attack. If you have Quest Fail in play and another character, top check 4, add a level 1 or higher character, add it to hand. The climax is a 1k1 and a book 1 triggered. Now why do I run this above the other 1-0 Aqua that we do have? Well, the climax is a book. I do have a lot of level 1 and higher characters, but I also have 3 events, and I'm going to be talking about those a little later. But when I trigger a book, that gives me an extra chance to get those events into my hand. As opposed to when I just trigger the other climax, I just gain a soul. I want to maximize my chances of getting those events into my hands because neither combo can grab those events. Plus, I need to save up some stock and I can't really afford to break even. It gets expensive, in more ways than one, around my level 2s. This is the last level 1 and I am running 1 God's Blow because I just had to. I love this card so much. Give a character on your side of the field plus 50 soul. They gain the following effects. This card cannot side attack. The character in front of this card cannot be reversed, and once per turn when damage dealt by this card is cancelled, draw 3, ditch 2. Yes, this is a super gimmicky card and I can't help but run it because fuck you, this is my deck. Fun fact, the plus 50 soul was actually printed on a card before. What really sucks is that whatever's in front of this card cannot be reversed, but if you have a card that can't run over another card, which can happen honestly, drop this down and waste your opponent's time. One way that I can see this card being pretty useful is that you can force your opponent into a deck refresh, and you're just going to be milling your opponent's deck until they hit a climax. So in that way, you will be getting one potential point of damage out. Speaking of having your opponent do things that they don't want to do, and with that event, we go to an actual good event. Seizure of Private Property is a 3-2 counter backup that states place all of your opponent's stock into the waiting room. At the end of the turn, your opponent then places the same amount of cards from the deck to their stock. So if your opponent has some effects that requires them to pay stock, nope. You can also, more effectively than the God's Blow, force them into a deck refresh. What's great about this card is that you are moving potential climaxes from your opponent's deck into their stock, which they're going to have a hard time to get out, especially that they're not seeing what's being sent. This card has been played in many decks, and I do not see it slowing down in any time. It is a great event, but I do run it at 2. Here's the last level 2, and I run 2 as well. Intimidating Pose gives 2k forward to all of your level 3s and rest this card. Choose one character and they get the following ability. When it reverses an opponent in battle, you can bounce that card to the bottom of the deck. So why do I run this? I do have a lot of level 3s, but I'm going to explain why this card is important over at level 3. Oh, we're at level 3. I'll do it later. But now here is Mesmerizing Water Goddess Aqua at 3. She is a 4-character early drop, which is not too hard to do. She gains 2k power during your turn if all of your characters are Adventurer, Goddess, or Axis characters, and on-play stock heal. That is when you play a card, you ditch a card from your hand, and you get the top card of your clock to your stock. So it does heal you, and it also does pay for half of its stock, but you are losing hand advantage. This card is insanely good, super easy to bring out, and it does pay for half of its stock. Again, kind of. It's almost like it is totally worth the $20 price tag if somebody was selling it. This card is the entire reason why I don't have a physical version of this deck. For all my budget friends, I would suggest running the trial deck Aquas instead. It isn't much, but it is something. Now I do run 2 Aquas, but I do not run her Climax combo. She is an anti-backup during her battle, which is great. Good effect. I hate it so much when it's done on me, but her other effect is more the reason why I run her. On play, pay 1 and your opponent chooses 2 climaxes from their waiting room. Return all cards except those 2 climaxes back into their deck and you shuffle. You are giving your opponent a free deck refresh, but you are removing 2 potential points of damage from their deck. And that deck that they have now is probably what they're going to be using for the entirety of the game. And now, let's get on to the win condition. To the Crimson Demon Village Aqua gains 500 power for each of your other characters. On play heal, and on attack, if you have Divine Goddess in your climax area, you could pay 1, mill the bottom 2 cards of your opponent's deck. If no climaxes were milled, you could burn 1 twice. The climax is a 1k1 and an arch when triggered. And that is why I run this 2-1 Aqua. Plus the Alarm Aqua does help as well. You want to try and send cards to the bottom of the deck, so this card has a better chance of not hitting a climax. The less climaxes in their deck, the better your chances. Now this deck is a huge gamble, but you know me, I'm a gambling man. There are certain actions and certain cards that could help you lower the chances of you hitting a climax with this card. Now again, this deck does fully revolve around luck, but if you do trust in the Goddess Aqua, anything is possible. Here, why don't you sign up? And with that, we have the end of the deck profile. This is a deck that I do want to build in real life. I do like Aqua, even though she is a fucking piece of shit. She has her charms. And with that, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Weiss Schwarz news and content, and I'll see y'all in the next one.